Hi there, gorgeous! Today we're testing out another brand new foundation that has been released very recently. This is Foundation Week, where I'm testing out a brand new foundation every single day. So if you missed yesterday's video, I will have that one linked for you below. But today it's all about IT Cosmetics Confidence in a Foundation. This retails for $32 for 1 ounce, and it promises to be great for those with normal, oily, combination, and dry skin. So basically, it should be a one-size-fits-all foundation, but is it really? I'm going to put it to the test for you today. I'll show you everything up close. We'll talk about the benefits that you get with this one, what makes it different, why it's being talked about so much on YouTube right now, and I'll also show you what it looks like at the end of the day with 2 separate wear tests. Quickly, before we get started here, if you're interested in a tutorial for my eye look, this was a video that was posted a couple weeks ago. I'll have it linked for you below if you're interested. And my lashes are the style Angelic from my lash line Inky Minky Lashes. And I will also have those linked for you below if you're interested. So let's read about this foundation before we get started here. So this is what the foundation looks like. It comes in a pump. I haven't tried it yet, so everything here I'm showing you is a first impression. Come on. Okay. Pretty nice consistency when it first comes out of the pump there. The shade that I'm using, by the way, is number 115 Light C. They have a good amount of shades to choose from within this collection. Very impressive. There are 48 shades in total. This claims to be a 24-hour wear foundation. It is full coverage, and it's packed with all kinds of good stuff too. They claim that it has ceramides, peptides, hydrolyzed collagen, hyaluronic acid, and something called squalene. Oh, okay. I looked it up because I'm not familiar with this ingredient. It says that it's a great skin moisturizer and a must for those with dry skin. And this foundation does claim to be for all skin types. You know I am very, very, very oily, so we're going to see if that is indeed the case. It will give you a velvet matte finish, according to everything that's being said about this foundation. So let's try it out. I'm not sure if this shade is going to match or not. It appeared that it would because I think I chose the fair with cool undertones, I think. Okay, no, I chose light for cool undertones because it looked like the fair might have been too fair for me. And this is looking really yellow for being a cool undertone foundation. I'm not really sure how this is going to go over. I'm a little surprised to see that, but you know what? Looks can be deceiving. Let's just say that up front. I have been more surprised in the past by products that appear to go on yellow, like they're not going to match at all, and then suddenly they do. So I'm not going to judge it. I'm going to hang in there. This is blending very nicely. It's a very smooth feeling foundation. Doesn't feel heavy at all. That was one of the qualities that they made known when you read about this foundation too, is that it's supposed to be very lightweight. Even though it is full coverage on the skin, it shouldn't feel like you're wearing anything. I tried not to get it on my lips, but I never really colored inside the lines as a kid either, so well, it's a match so far. I mean, from what I can see in the viewfinder, and here under studio lights, it looks okay. Of course, I haven't stepped outside yet, so I really can't say, but so far I liked how it blended in though. It does appear to be very skin-like. I intentionally applied more to this side. On this side, I'm going to apply a lot less by comparison, and I'm going to, I mean, that was a lot less. This is just a very pigmented foundation. So keep that in mind if you do try this out. That little bit of this goes a long way. But sometimes I like to apply more to one side and less to another side to see if it makes a difference in the wear time. Because sometimes it does. By the way, the brush I'm using here is from Fenty Beauty. This is the 110 foundation brush. And I will say it's not as intimidating using less. When I used more on this side initially, it looked like it was going to be really off in color. But now that I'm using less, I feel like it's matching me better. And they did say as part of this that it's supposed to cover imperfections in the skin and redness. And you saw how much redness I had on my cheek when I first went to apply this. And that redness has already disappeared, even with the small amount that I used. And even though I did use such a small amount on this side, I still feel like it's more medium coverage because you can see some of the red peeking through right there. So what I might do is take a tiny bit more, I mean tiny, you can barely see that, and apply that to the red spot only on my cheek to see if building this foundation makes a difference. It appears that it does. It looks like it's covered it a lot better with that small amount layered over the top, and I'm pressing it in too with the brush, which I feel like makes a difference also. With this foundation, I feel like I liked it better with a brush compared with a sponge. I mean, with a sponge, it's still beautiful over here, but I feel like the brush has a bit more of a flawless application associated with it. And no, it still matches. It matches on both sides. I just feel like initially when I started applying it over here, it was matching better. So far, everything looks beautiful. I hope it wears well throughout the day because so far I'm pretty impressed. Now it is shiny. I don't feel like that's a velvet matte finish. I mean, look at that. That's, oh no. Usually when a product claims to have a matte or semi-matte finish, you get a little bit more matte than that. But anyway, we'll go ahead and apply a concealer. This is the e.l.f. 16-hour Camo Concealer, which is a very, very strong concealer too, so a little bit goes a long way. I do have to set my face. I always do. I don't think there's ever been a foundation where I haven't had to set my face, because if I don't, this foundation is going to be in my lap within an hour. So I'm using the Coty Airspun Translucent Powder because this is one of those powders that's more neutral in the sense of it doesn't affect the wear time of a foundation. If a foundation is really good, the powder wears really well, but if the foundation is not good, the powder will not compensate for it. It basically is a tattletale. But in this instance, that's a very good quality to have. I'm using the IT Cosmetics, what is this? This is No Nothing. Ugh, my grammar teacher would be appalled. There's nothing on this brush to indicate what it is, but this is just a simple powder brush from IT Cosmetics. I used it for the first time probably 4 years ago and fell in love with it. Bought a backup since then. It's my absolute favorite. Well, it sets beautifully and it looks gorgeous up to this point. And despite my initial qualms about the color match and me thinking it might be too yellow based, it actually blended in nicely and matches me pretty perfectly on both sides. So I'm hoping that this one wears well too. So like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I did 2 separate wear tests with this foundation to really get a feel for how it wore. On the first day, I tested it the same way that I showed you in the application. I went for a straight 11 hours with no primers underneath the foundation, and this is what my face looked like at the end of 11 hours. I didn't feel like it was beautiful and as pretty as when I had first applied the makeup. It felt like it was starting to look rather uneven, and the foundation didn't really move, but it looked like it was starting to separate across my face, and there was a little too much shine for my personal liking. So that was what made me want to test it on an entirely separate day with a primer. The primer I decided to go with was Bobbi Brown's Primer Plus Mattifier. Now this is supposed to be a really great primer. It's one of the top rated high-end primers. I'm actually testing it for an entirely separate video that will be coming up next week where I test out some of the best rated high-end primers. So this was my first day testing it. Keep in mind, I do have to keep testing it with some other foundations before I make a formal opinion of it. I wore it under the IT Cosmetics Confidence in a Foundation, and this is what my face looked like at the end of 10 hours. It looks worse after 10 hours with the primer than it did by itself after 11 hours with no primer. Am I right? I mean, are you seeing the same thing that I'm seeing? And nothing changed, by the way, as far as the powder goes. I used the same powder. The only thing that changed was the primer application, but I felt like it really started to move around my face. It was absolutely starting to look splotchy in a lot of areas, and the foundation was not attractive anymore at all. And to go from such a beautiful finish, I mean, the finish was gorgeous with this one initially, to those kind of results at the end of the day, and knowing that they are marketing this towards those of us with oily complexions, it just didn't sit right with me. It's not one that I would want to wear again. That was my last day wearing it. I'm not going to even try it again. It's not something that I'll reach for in the future. And I can confidently say to you that I would not recommend it to you at all, especially if you have an oily complexion. Now, if you have a normal, dry, combination complexion, maybe give it a try. You don't know. I mean, everyone's skin is different. We're all going to wear things differently, but I feel like those of us with oily skin can absolutely write this one off. And yeah, but anyway, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you've tried this one out, what you thought about it. As always, if you can get a sample of a foundation, I highly recommend doing it that way first to see how it will wear on you so you can get a feel for it, and so you're not wasting your money on something that you may not be happy with in the long run. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Please subscribe for more videos like this, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.